Hello and welcome everyone to Light Technology and Structural Architecture through Light and Sound. Today we are immersing further and deeper into this topic, although we've began to discuss this probably many months ago about light technology as structure, light as a structure, energy as information, and how I specifically work with light, and frequency is tuning that code with an instruction and a functionality to give it a form into this reality, meaning that so when the sound of the carrier wave instructs as the light, it is structuring into what it is tuned and designed to do. And we have discussed this previously. We're going to immerse into this deeper and further now more because it's into the stages of building, of course, building we do with structure and with light and with sound. And today, no exception, we're going to widen further into an immersive exploration, actually tuned to the cosmic vast intelligence and the language and the unique geometries, and of course, the light technology within you, which is very unique to you, your codes, your unique coding. And through those tones and waves and instructed structural potentiality, you can really create a much different reality, right? So, we're going to discuss that further as there's a big difference between bringing, we could say, bringing energy through, offering a transmission, and actually creating through the light technology as the structural architecture with a specific functionality and precision. And I also invite you, if you haven't watched already on the channel, there's I think there's two videos at least that are about this very topic as well. Those are more intro. We're going to dive further and deeper here because this is to some extent interactive. So if you feel called to explore through what you're hearing, what you're listening, how you're feeling through this to really see that this is an architectural mode of creation. And actually, it's not new. Many times we're hearing new architecture and the configurations may be different, but we have been, and we are, we could say parallelly, creating with light and sound all the time. So this is a remembrance into and also an invitation into your remembrance of the living field of light, which is code and instruction, holographic technology, and of course, the subtle architectures that shape and expand consciousness assist expanded embodiment and also our multidimensional cosmic divine evolution and unification underway in this exact moment. So, together and beyond here and through all time and space, we are journeying beyond definitions into direct experience, into expanded perceptions, and into, of course, very important, into conscious, precise integration, meaning that we're actually utilizing those codes, say this instruction specifically, and then enduring and about as we are creating those fields of structure and light through the tone, however, we are instructing that field or geometry blueprint will be so. We'll create that configuration. And I'll give some asides actually to this space, for example, geometric configuration and how that's been created through living fields of light codes with instructions and technologies. So we'll explore here what are they truly? beyond, of course, transmissions and sounding lovely, how they function as powerful technologies, as structural, and why are they essential to unifying humanity in all of evolution and assisting in remembering and deep transformation through these pivotal and powerful gateways where we are now, finally. We could say finally, but it feels like just a moment ago that we're returning to our true essences and a pure cosmic divine beingnesses. So here you will learn, hopefully you'll remember that how to translate, how to feel, how to understand these luminous structures more clearly, and also how to consciously collaborate and co-create with them, meaning that how do you consciously instruct them? And remembering how that is so, to more specifically create with light, and how that can really impact and does your reality moment to moment as you're multidimensionally shifting. And I can think of one really wonderful example right now. And from there, snowball, so to speak, many other examples I'm sure you can think of, where imagine now, right now, we're expanding, right? Everyone's expanding in their own way, multidimensionally, right? And as we open our perceptibility and our sensitivity and our sensing through our different fields of awareness, perception, sensorial, nervous system, all the systems where we are sensing all of this information. Now, let's think of light code as a structure with function that we tune the code to do certain things. And then we imbue it, right? We imbue with a frequency in that specificity into the code to do something. So the example I'm giving is, as we are more openly sensing more information, we can actually create fields around us, right? Fields around us and fields within us to direct energy about us before us to perhaps recalibrate away or magnetize to calibrate our field more specifically, refine our own tones and tunes, consistently fine tune through fields of awareness, fields of tune and tone. And what I'm actually doing in these sound sessions and sound immersions, whether you've come to realize this specifically or not, is when I'm toning, I'm giving that code a function. And then as I'm singing that tone through the sound wave, the carrier wave, I'm spinning it, right? So I'm toning, layering, and spinning it multidimensionally, perhaps on the cellular structure, through the field, the energy field, multiple fields, physical body, cellular structure, DNA, spinal region. It could be all of the systems, and it is, of course, through the waves experienced through all the systems. And so that those tones spun through the sound and layered are woven and woven and woven and woven and also integrated, opened, expanded, because as I am toning and tuning and giving that instructionality, I'm also integrating that into this reality so that it is actually technologically and structurally creating architecture. And sometimes, many times, simultaneously dissolving it away, right? So it's dissolving, configuring, reconfiguring, clearing, opening, expanding, layer through infinite layer of dimensions beyond numbers, that those instructions, and this is how precise and how precision is so important, is because light code and holographic technology is all ancient, all accessible, meaning that anyone and everyone can and will at some point, I would imagine, do so because the divinely encoded technology is within you, as you are that. So as we discuss this further, it creates these fields of remembrance, reflection of how to attune to more precisely these unique frequencies within you so that these subtle technologies and precise symbologies of how something is designed and tuned and toned to do so through the dialogue and the precision, you have the infinite ability to co-create with light and to anchor higher frequencies. And that means experiences also, and also to participate consciously in the unfolding architecture of a new galactic, and we're calling it this. Some people are calling it this. I don't necessarily look at it this way, but the unfolding architecture of a new galactic human paradigm, which is a collaboration of human galactic conscious evolution, building and blooming into the earth, but also, of course, beyond that, because these structures and light technology and architectures are coming in and through here, in and through our vessel, in and through our instructions, and also in and through space, through the nodes and the stars and the systems. So, a sip of water, I don't know. We're doing, excuse me, so much right now in our evolution. It's important to remind our own selves further and deeper how we can utilize light as a technology to implement structural architecture because really it is time. It's beyond time to remember. And as we expand our perceptions, we remember our ancient awareness and step into broader, more luminous cosmic understanding of how light actually moves, speaks, forms, creates, and transforms with conscious, precise direction, right? Intention and specific function. We're going beyond transmission or what's referenced perhaps even as channeling. This is not channeling. We're talking about conscious precision, completely different structural architecture, building with light, weaving with light, creating structures through light, as light, with sound, specific, precise precision, connecting gateways, doorways, portals, highways, so to speak, interstellar and vastly beyond, because it's beyond time. It's time now. So let's build something, shall we? It's beyond time, right? So today we're going to discuss that, and I'm so glad you're here. This is just the beginning point. We'll be talking about this so much further. There's so much to discuss, and this is high up my next, we could say my next steps of rotation to be implementing so many structural changes that we're, of course, experiencing now through structural change, through physical earth change, through things dissolving, through new structures emerging, through new ways emerging, new communities, right? All of the families, even through stars and star systems, star nations coming together physically to collaborate in, we could say in person, in the field, in togetherness, actually coming in embodiment together to the same places. So as we ready now to embody and recognize the role of light codes in humanity's and so far beyond's evolution, it's also, of course, impacting the unification of galactic communities and beings, as I was just mentioning, because it's connecting all of the spaces, places, dimensions, octaves beings and races through these different systems, which many are very, very far away. We're not just talking about the Milky Way galaxy, right? Which is beyond its own farness of proximity to the Earth. We're talking about parallel universes, other realms, other dimensions, other galaxies, so many galaxies, multiverse, beyond of the beyond, and to connect these nodes, spaces, places, highways, and byways structurally with architecture, we can do so with light and also evolve everyone everywhere through the grand luminosity of unification of galactic communities of beings. So this is very important in the next steps. And so the more we understand it, the more we can actually do so as well. So we're going to also ready to expand our perceptual and multidimensional bandwidth so that you can read, translate, and build with light, meaning that while you understand and when and as you understand how you can tune and instruct precisely those light structures, when you have comprehension of that, of course, I mean, more possibility of implementation. So we're also readying, of course, each of us in our own divine time to open our gifts for deeper immersion into activating soul language, which is, we've talked about this to some extent, and we have a course for this through the Center of Primordial Sound and Light, and it's soul language, meaning that everyone has an origination, their original soul language, their frequency tone, their source soul language, their frequency dialectic from all of the collaborations of your unique codes, light codes. So we're also opening now more deeply each and every one to activating our telepathy and also clear communication pathways multidimensionally. And I've just discussed this recently that telepathy is not what many are discussing and saying it is. It's much grander and vaster and actually quite different than how it's being discussed. Of telepathy is not mind to mind, it's field to field awareness, knowingness, and the transmission, so to speak, the communications aren't sent mind to mind or thought form to thought form. It's actually field to field awareness. And so as we are tuning further and deeper, specifically refining and fine-tuning our tunes and our tones of our instructional precision through structural architecture and light, that is actually assisting this process, so to speak, which isn't a process at all. It's remembering that we are field awareness, and in our knowingness, our fields are always communicating. It's what are we resonating and how are those fields interweaving and communicating together if we should so choose to communicate with what we are sensing through our fields, through our nervous system, through our brain, through our fascia, through our cells, our feet, our organs, our meridians. Everything is a sensing, processing, total multidimensional experience as we evolve. So we're going to discuss that further as we just did recently in our sound immersion. It's not posted online. However, these, let's just take it aside for a moment to mention that these sound immersions are to discuss these topics that have not been quite discussed in these ways, to expand the perception beyond even multidimensionality, beyond this galaxy, into total cohesion with all of the cosmos, through all of creation, into totality of oneness, to understand technology, light as technology, through unified precision and functionality, how we can create it. And we are creating architecture through light, geometry, configurations, layers. And layers of sounds and tones are creating new worlds. We look at parallel universes, sound verses. It's all sound and light harmonics. There's not a form per se. So we'll get into that another time. So we're going to just basically, to some extent, just discuss a few things before we dive further about what we're going to dive further into. And some of that is activating and integrating these codes that you have within your body, within your field, and within your systems, and also what it means to tune light, right? Architectural code that's imbued as a frequency precisely with a specific function. And I'm actually going to discuss this probably, well, most certainly with every immersion or offering in person as well at different conferences, because the way that I'm actually offering the sound and the light is much different than I've heard before. So I'm going to dive further into that so people can understand exactly what it is I'm doing and why, because the sound immersions are very different experience than what one would look at a, say for example, sound bowls, right? This is one example, but any of these other sound offerings, this is much, much different. It's with high precision, architectural intention to actually create with very specific configurations. So much more evolved way of thinking beyond multidimensionality, actually. So we'll be working with light as a creative technology through sound, through intention, through presence. We just talked about that. Some of these are just my notes to make sure that I mention. We'll dive into it another time, I'm sure, as well. And so we're also accessing our and your, of course, unique intergalactic technologies, innate multidimensional wisdom, which what is that? Why are we doing that? And how are we doing that? That means that when we're offering a precise sound, tone, and function, say immersion session, one-on-one session, that is actually opening, clearing, dissolving, configuring all the layers at once so that the pathways, all of these pathways within, say, your physical body, your energy body, all of your fields can be clear so that your DNA awakens and expresses its own self, which is all of your wisdom, right? You have all the wisdom within you. And I know there's many perceptions on learning all this new neat stuff. And that's great to layer upon, right? But all of the base, in addition to the but, parallel, all of the information is ancient and you already have it because you are encoded with all as all, with your own unique codes, experiences you've had, where you've been, all of the layers you are right now, all of the octaves, everything you're experiencing, whether you know it or not, is impacting and also accessible moment to moment as you come into your awareness and embodiment of what does that mean? How do I function with that? Integrate all of this. What am I accessing through my evolving sensorial field awareness, which is what also assists, as I just mentioned, with telepathy. Field awareness is all of the fields that are sensing, communicating, processing, filtering, refining, fine-tuning through the physical body, right? You have physical body sensations through your whole body, right? Your feet, your organs, your tissues, your fascia, your brain, your spine, your, especially the fascia more and more. We look at the connectivity of the fascia is connected to the infinity of the unified field. So what does that mean? Is that interwoven tapestry between the fascia and The nervous system communicating, sensing is also filtering, right? So that there's not this overwhelm or shutdown, freeze, flight, freeze. What's the other one? Fight. Any of this overwhelm that happens with the nervous system of sensing information and also accessing all of the information within all of your networks that are retuning and harmonically tuning differently as you are integrating your own structural technology by activating your light, activating your it's kind of a misnomer in a way. You're always light, but you're opening the access pathways of the dormancies so that you are fully accessing the libraries of light that you are and that you have. Because everyone has the same capacity to access the information. However, the imperative part is to be able to stabilize the frequency and hold that frequency to actually maintain that embodiment so that that information, which is energy, right? Energy and information are basically the same. Energy is information, information is energy. So to hold and comprehend that information, one must be able to sustain the frequency that they're residing at. And say you want to access all of these other dimensional octaves or where you all are at this moment besides here, to integrate and understand and comprehend that as well, we must be able to sustain the frequency that we are at, and or in addition to the or choose to evolve and accelerate above and beyond, meaning that this is very important. Now I'm going to discuss this before the video gets too long, and we'll do another, I promise. But what we're going to say here is that, we see all over the place, right? Everywhere you turn, there's an activation, there's a meditation, there's a event, right? Activate this, activate that, activate this, activate that. And that's wonderful if you want to keep activating all these things. It's fantastic. However, to sustain, say we're looking at, this is one great example because it's thrown around a lot, DNA activation, right? Now you could activate your DNA 6 times on Saturday. Would you need to do that? No, if you sustain it and sustain the frequency, one time would be plenty. However, what all these continuous activations, the important part is that we're actually sustaining that frequency so that whatever is activated, that dormancy is actually able and consistently uh, accessed and also comprehended, coherently utilized through your own light code technology and your own structural architecture, right? Working all interwoven, your architecture, your energy body, your physical body, your sensing, you could say sensing body, which is still energetic, the fields of information, the nervous system, the fascias, fields, its energy. It's also, of course, its structure, it's physical. So all of these different architectures and energy and fields and bodies all working coherently are innately orchestrating, and those fields of awareness, right? The fields of sensation, of filtering, of navigation become that actually navigation and innately sensation refining and discarding, perhaps receding energy away and, sifting it around and calibrating it through, filtering it, processing, harmonizing it naturally now. So you're not expending all of this energy. And that's the point as well. Very important, because you look at this goofy concepts of these activate everything, 5 times on Sunday, right? It's fine and dandy for, somebody wanting to sell a lot of programs. However, it's not necessary if you're able to sustain what it is that you are embodying, right? Which is really your own architecture, your own codes as purified light and beingness in its sustained, coherent, consistent, harmonized form and formless. Embodying that, you don't need to constantly be doing, or even, every 5 minutes or once a day, cleansing and cleaning and clearing and doing all these procedures, right? And ceremonial things. It's not necessary. These are discarded, defunct, and unnecessary techniques because your technology in its fullest capacity is light. Read that out for a second. I'm going to take a sip of water. Your light is light in its fullest capacity, right? What does that mean? That you don't need to do all this extra stuff and these extra steps. But the important part, however, not but, the important part to understand and comprehend and integrate is that we must be sustaining the energetics through our structural architectural fields of awareness and all of the fields within the fields of sensing, knowing, perceiving, embodying, and harmoniously through our experience multidimensionally as we're navigating through our sensorials, allowing and recognizing, right? This is, we'll say allowing and recognizing, but recognizing the role of light codes in your continuous experience in the harmonic of their own tune, which would technically be you activating and integrating and consciously utilizing your universal soul geometries, right? Holography, as we could say, and soul frequencies, which are completely unique to you. So that's how important this is. And we'll discuss this so much further soon. I feel like I know I get really excited about this, can you tell? We'll touch on just a couple other things I already might have mentioned, and then we're going to dive into this further another time. It looks like, well, it looks like I've been talking a while. It doesn't really seem like it, has it? Um, However, we're going to dive in this so much deeper and further. These are all introductory, we could say introductory, but they're not really. They're reflectory immersions in oneself through light technology and structural architecture, which all is sound and light, right? So all is light and through sound. That architecture is integrated into this reality. So I'm so I could say passionate, adamant, passionate, that sounds nice too, about the comprehension of the precision involved and required for technology and technological precision in creation of structural architecture, because that's what it's time for. So we're going to discuss that a lot more further very soon. It's also very important to comprehend and also integrate the fact that we don't need to go through all of these steps and all these programs. And we're also, of course, witnessing parallelly that all these guruisms and all of this, where somebody is teaching you how to do something you already know, that's fading away, right? Because you already have this information, you already have the codes within you, and as you recall the the word is so funny today, as you recall the technology of the light that you are, and specifically precisely give it the functionality of what it is that we're creating, why we'll realize that these next steps of creation of new architecture building creating new communities, connecting all the nodes, interstellar gateways, all the things I've already discussed. You'll realize the magnitude and also that in every moment, this breath, right? This breath. Oh, the breath even is a huge code, like codes of information through the breath. So, how are we directing and instructing? And also, how are we tuned? Is actually doing that through all of the fields of awareness, which I was discussing before. You know, all of our fields, all of our sensorials, our filtering, our navigation, our sensorial systems, as we further fine tune our own expansion, this will continue to self, we could say self navigate, uh, however it will. Our tune and our resonance will do so. So we're going to dive much deeper and further into that. I thank you all so much for tuning in today. Uh, we might have a live actually on this soon. And of course, an expanded version, we're going to break it down, so to speak, even further, wider and deeper about the structure. What does that mean? Some of you probably have seen my video on the morphogenetic field and how I work with sound and light through that field, through the water field, the fields of memory. We look at ourselves and each other and the earth and all the planetary bodies and systems and multidimensionally. Everything is fields of information, right? Information is energy. So, if we're looking at anything, we're looking at fields of energy. And it doesn't necessarily mean we need to see them, but we're sensing them and we're sensing them through all of our sensorials, nervous system, even our tissues, our organ, our skin is a huge one. The fields of knowingness, intuition, soul, or our sensorial capacity. So we'll dive into this further, deeper as we go. There's so much more.